Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes, and probably some kinky stuff that involves probing.
Woohoo. Yes, we got Deep State, Annex, Greg Hartwick, Spooky Bedhair,
And Jinzu.
Mark Caesar. All right.
Okay.
So today is Alien Abduction Day, huh?
Yep, and the alien goat also says it's the Great American Meat Out. Keep it in your pants, boys. It's a promo for vegetarianism. Yeah, apparently there's kind of a flash mob thing about people doing a no pants day. You know, that somebody will send out a message and, like a couple dozen people will get onto the same subway train without their pants.
Well, it's gotta be an awkward ride home.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. The Alien Abduction Day is celebrated on March 20th every year, and although we are not sure how the date it was chosen or when it started being celebrated, we know that the Alien Abduction Day Festival in Toronto popularized it in 2008. A substantial number of people claim to have seen and experienced aliens, even though some people do not believe in aliens, and it is frequently dismissed as a joke. People who believe in aliens are the focus of Alien Abduction Day. According to the UFO expert, it's whether or not these allegations are real. They will have a significant influence on the claimants.
Oh, I thought you were blaming the aliens for climate change there.
Claimants, yeah.
Hey, Demon. So do demons count as ultra-terrestrials?
Yes. In fact, I was just looking over here in the cryptid wiki, and they were saying aliens are extraterrestrial creatures from space. To date, there has been no direct observational evidence of extraterrestrial life, according to the scientists. As much as we can trust them, aliens are believed by some to be demons.
Well, Spooky says we are your friends, which actually, I should explain why I keep using hashtag not all saurians, because people are worried about the reptilian overlords that live in the hollow moon taking over your planet. And I need to explain that that's only the Tyrannosaurs trying to do that, okay? We ceratopsians are here to try and make a treaty to protect both of our planets. Besides, we consider Earth to be a really cool vacation spot. We just come here to graze on your salad bars and laugh at the flat earthers.
So, an alternative hypothesis to the extraterrestrial life is, as mentioned, the ultraterrestrials. These are basically that the UFOs and aliens and stuff that are encountered are actually from alternate realities. Which honestly, I think makes a lot more sense. And so if you think, considering how many you end up looking humanoid.
Yeah. Actually, in my early teens, I actually believed that I had like managed to open some kind of porthole, and that there were like two of these weird things kind of stalking me, and then there was a bigger one of a separate species that was trying to haul them back where they belong.
Well, apparently, the whole ultra-terrestrial hypothesis has been given some actual research into it. The case for scientific openness to an interdimensional explanation for unidentified anomalous phenomena. In recent years have seen increasing public attention regarding unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs, basically UFOs. Hypotheses used for such is from tend to fall into two classes: a conventional terrestrial explanation, a human-made drones, or an extraterrestrial explanation, advanced in civilizations from elsewhere in the cosmos. However, there is also a third minority class of hypothesis. It's an unconventional terrestrial explanation outside the prevailing consensus view of life from the universe. This is the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis, which includes but is not limited to the interdimensional hypothesis, namely the highly speculative notion that UAP may reflect activities of beings from other dimensions that coexist alongside our own. And such hypotheses may rightly be regarded with skepticism by most scientists. However, this paper suggests that nevertheless should not be ruled out and deserve serious consideration in a spirit of epistemic humility and openness. So that's what the abstract on this thing says.
Well, an episode of SG1 did just briefly say that the Stargate wormholes could only exist if we live in an 11-dimensional universe. So obviously we're somehow piercing through dimensions that we're not physically aware of, but are still part of our universe.
And I was gonna try and post it, but unfortunately the link is too long for me to post in the chat. So sorry about that.
Well, you could put it on the Discord or on Twitter. People could go and check it from there.
See if it works with that. Nope. Yeah, I guess I'll just put it in Discord or something later if I remember.
Cool. I never saw this little spaceship emoticon before.
Of course, one of the more famous is alien abduction stories is the Barney and Betty Hill incident. Though they're not the ones who started the whole craze.
No, but wasn't their thing mostly about that the psychiatrist kind of planted memories, sort of?
There's a lot in here on hypnosis. It's trying to bring back the memories. Apparently, afterwards, Betty he had some dreams. Shortly afterwards, she wrote down, and I have to say the story sounds like a huge mess for trying to actually get actual information.
Yeah. It sounded like it got pretty twisted up. Actually, that's one of the things that I've had therapists discuss with me about bringing back some of my repressed memories, but I've already verified instances where I have not so much false memories as edited memories, that the timelines really didn't work out, that the certain people could not have been there at that time. So I have, no real faith in them being able to bring back, memories from when I was a child with any accuracy.
Yeah, that was something my mom was trying to deal with before she died. She had memory of being blessed as a very small child, but she had discovered that that memory was false.
Yeah.
But she still had some. There was still something there because there was obviously something had triggered her developing personality dissociation disorder, but she couldn't figure out what it was, and that she was trying to figure out everything from that point, but never happened since she died like a month later.
Yeah, well, I've got a pretty good block on nearly 10 years of my life growing up, so I just think that there's too much missing to think that I could retrieve much of anything worthwhile.
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, after speaking on my mom dying, and my own memories and of that whole year and a half or so are pretty jumbled up. So
Yeah,
trying to
Jinzu yeah, the psychiatrist did use hypnosis on them, and that's what I was referring to, that, some people who have reviewed the case feel that under hypnosis, the psychiatrist may have planted suggestions.
And they probably brought up other things because, as we were just looking at here, this is the let's see if I can make that bigger. Okay, there we are. That's the drawing that they made under hypnosis.
Hmm.
And these are some of the outer limit it stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember watching that show when I was a kid. I love those Outer Limits and Twilight Zone, all those kind of shows. And Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
So, and that happened in the timeline here. Here we got the Alien, and here it aired in 1964 or February on the 10th, February on the 17th for the next image over, and their drawing was done in the 22nd of February of that year.
Ah, so just a matter of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's 10, 10 days or less than 10 days, a week from the glowing-eyed alien and the children of Spider County.
Hmm.
So
Hey, Jenny, are you able to pop in? Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean the interdimensional aliens are an interesting case, and it's kind of one of those unfalsifiable things, because we haven't even proved whether or not these other dimensions actually exist.
yeah, it's on if these these alternate realities, these extra dimensionals existed, it would be possible for life to exist in them. Is basically the the gist of it.
Hmm.
Actually, I had that in live science here. Here should the search for alien life in our universe come up empty-handed, it might be worth checking in on a neighboring universe instead. According to a new pair of study is in the journal, monthly, is of the Royal Astronomical Society. There's a decent chance that life fostering plans could exist in a parallel universe. Even if that universe were being torn apart by dark energy. So it's a multiple universe hypothesis there. Since we were just talking about Barney and Benny Hill, should we read Jenny's story?
Yeah, since Jenny's here, why don't you read her story?
Jenny wrote in the DM here. I read in the biography of Betty and Barney's little abduction back in the 60s. Even under 14, I could tell it was bogus. I was pissed because it was the very first book I bought for myself. It became a very effective replacement for a damaged leg of a sofa.
Okay, well, that one, and yeah, go back. Jenny's asking us to read her abduction story that she put up last night.
Oh. I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, you missed it? Oh, yes, you have to read it then.
Oh, is this this really long ass one here?
Yeah, it's on the Twitter feed. It's a long one that was put right after I posted that I'd set the stream up last night.
Okay.
Around about midnight last night.
Just out of college around 77, is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Just out of college around 77 and laying eating some traps for fur hunting. And it was for a rat pelt. That's okay. I caught 3 of them. I guess the old bite teeth clam spring traps were too primitive for the guy, and they just impeded themselves into them. And snap, got him. We made friends while I kept them at my apartment and helping them heal up and feeding them for such little guys. They eat like pigs. They taught me some wicked stitching on the pedal once, and I had a bike jack getting cycle pants in less than a week. After that, I made a bowl all gangs for each of them. Jeez. All four of us are in a bunch about alien, human, and sexual interactions, and hence the choice for a gift. If now, this was before my transition, so when they offered to get me pregnant, I foolishly refused to undergo the DNA rewrite. Hindsight is 2020. I felt
Yep.
2 of them go and fix their craft to get home, and the third one, and well, tasty were real. I can't even pronounce reacts. Do you did not really get long well with the other is do they? He told me keep him enjoy your fellow traveler. Remember to try making the and lettuce, carp and tomato stuffing. Wilson and decide his replacement before we take off. They packed up his brain and left. Now you know why no further aliens haven't revealed themselves. By the way, both beg me to make it clear and to politely ask the Earth's population to stop referring to them as green guys. They are really a beige with a green stripe. And to the time they've been seen as all green anymore because as we saw them during their peak of sexual urge is eating to breed, and yes, they very much find us attractive just too scary to couple with. Great work, incels. Thanks. It's impossible to misgender alien, and each one of them are all three genders in one.
Well, actually, there was like a surge of Bigfoot sightings in the 80s. See, and that was when the Galactic Alliance was trying to make contact. That they sent the Sasquatch because of the 1,000 races in the Alliance. They were the ones that most resembled us, so they thought we could relate to them. But since most people shot at them and nobody was willing to talk to them, they just decided we're too violent, and they've quarantined this planet until we can stop killing our own kind. They check back on us every 43 years, but we haven't really made any improvement.
Mm.
So you hear that, folks? You got 2 more generations before they do another flyby and see whether or not they're going to talk to us or just keep the whole system quarantined.
Yeah. They might as well just stop even bother.
Well, I mean, if we're willing to kill people who look exactly like us, how can any other sentient being feel safe here?
True. Though it might make for a uniting factor, so we can hate something else instead.
Well, I mean, we already have Jehovah's Witnesses. That hasn't done it. Well, actually, the only pictures of Bigfoot. Oh, here, actually, I've got the picture here. Let me find this one. Mage, keep them busy for a while. These things take me a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good timing, because I just found some of my own stuff here. Let's see. Haven't looked at this stuff in quite a while. Used to come up with my own aliens here. There are a lot of it based on some of these aliens from popular mythology, such as the Greys and all that.
Yeah. There we are.
Found what you're looking for?
Yep.
Mm.
I just need to find the right tab. There we go. There we go. A group of campers returned from an Oregon camping trip with a clear photo of Bigfoot. But upon closer inspection, it was realized the photo was only a fat hippie who hadn't shaved since the 1990s. Oh. Yeah.
It's called the Grey Ones, on my own little thing written up as Zatans. Sort of like, since they're from Zeta Reculia and all that.
Ah.
That's according to the thing. Primary language, telepathy in quotes, ultrasonic and infrasonic vibrations with a mathematical basis. Yeah, actually, I don't even remember everything I have written in here. Size 1.06 to 1.37 meters, or 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall. Occasionally 5 feet.
Quick, to the mothership.
Oh, that's a good one. I've seen that before.
Yeah, I picked this one up a couple of years ago. It's just fun. Besides the fact that I'm particularly fond of turtles. They have been one of my special interest focuses when I was a child. Odd thing most people don't realize that a turtle's shell is actually their rib cage. What you're seeing, the whole dome of the shell, is actually their ribs that have grown on the outside and flattened out.
Hmm.
Yeah, and their evolution is very mysterious. You know, there isn't much as far as them finding any transitional things. Although they did recently find one that seemed to have like the expanded ribs of the bottom half of the shell without the top shell.
Yeah, we do have some stuff.
Yeah, so that these are rather recent finds that they're starting to get a little better explanation of them. Hey, Swede, how you doing?
Let's see what I got in this thing. Must come commonly called Zetans or Gray. He's but also have been referred to as Zetas, Zeta Reculians, Reculians, or Reticulians. Their name is based on a popular misconception stemming from the Earth's mythology rather than in their actual origins. This is actually from me. This is some write up I did on the future. So it's sort of a sci-fi future where humans are starting to colonize space, and they encountered all these aliens and stuff. And the Zetans are one of the few species that can actually interact with us directly. Since most of those species can't be in the same environment as each other without some kind of protection or something.
Well, I've always wondered about that. That the classic image of the Greys of basically having these big eyes and not having any other facial features. I've always wondered, is that really their face, or is that just, a helmet that they're in an environmental suit?
Some have said that it's actually the suit. Some think say it's their face. Others actually have claimed that these things aren't actually alive at all. That they're more like advanced robots or some kind of
Oh.
android or something.
Yeah, I've always believed that they were just wearing some kind of a spacesuit because they probably can't breathe our atmosphere.
Yeah. My explanation for it is that they genetically engineered themselves to be for their lungs and systems to be able to be adaptable to nearly any environment, given a chance to acclimate.
Mm. Well, and depending on, how their spaceships work and how long it takes them to get here, they could, n- you know, they could do that during the journey. Like if they were taking several years or even, decades if they were not faster than light ships, that they could gradually be replacing their native atmosphere with something more like the Earth's atmosphere. so they could adjust to it over a long period of time. Yeah, Mark, funny that how the image of aliens seems to proceed with the images that we see in the movies and TV shows.
Oh, that was an interesting little addition I had to this. Is that they don't actually have a digestive tract. It's just they eat more like a Venus flytrap. That the little slit mouth is actually just a pouch. They put the food in, and it dissolves and absorbs through the membranes.
Hmm. But could they get enough food that way?
Yeah.
They'd have to have a
Hmm.
very concentrated food source, I'd think.
Well, they have it in the form of tablet. That's her liquids that they place in their mouth and absorb.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was thinking that it would have to be something like that. Well, yeah, in the late 60s, after taking acid, George Lucas went to a galaxy far, far away.
No, this is actually before my better understanding of gender. But even despite that, uh, I had written here, Zetans have no reproductive organ, and so there are no differences in sexes. However, they do possess mental gender, or gender identities, and do enjoy physical coupling. It's interesting to look back on some of the old stuff that you write and without even knowing what you wrote, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's the novel I'm working on now that 4 of the 5 main characters are ambassadors from the Galactic Alliance. So, they're each a species that evolved completely independently of all the others.
Mm. Yeah, they use genetic engineering and artificial wombs and stuff to essentially grow children instead
Yeah.
of having an actual physical sex.
Yeah, that's it. So, I have been thinking about that, about, the different ways they could reproduce. And like one of the alien species, they actually don't have gender. They're all the same, but they all like deposit their eggs in a communal nest, and before the outer surface of the eggs, can like harden while they're still kind of gelatinous, that a lot of the eggs will merge together. So then they will have offspring that, could have DNA from 4 or 5 parents, even though they're all the same gender. It's been a long time since I've seen The Fifth Element. I don't remember the fried chicken reference. I thought all they had was Taco Bell. No, that was a different movie. So anybody in the side chat have any alien abduction stories or want to come in?
Got plenty more stuff if you're I can do here. Oh, here's some getting off of alien abduction for a moment. Let's see, here we are.
Yeah, it's A shame Commander 401 can't come in. He's got some excellent, or she, sorry, has some excellent animation. Wonderful alien spaceships and some things about the reptilians.
That should be big enough to be able to
Dyslexia.
bring it up a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
There. Oh shoot. Basically, how it actually looks. Dyslexia characterized by a different and with learning such and such. Then this one is actually kind of giving me an idea of how it looks like for me to read. How it looks like on a good day. This is how you notice some of the characters are a little off.
Yeah.
Difficulty with learning to read. So this is actually how it looks with dyslexia. However, I have a severe form of dyslexia where the letters sometimes actually look like they're moving. So I was trying to replicate that in a still image. So this is what it looks like when I'm trying to read when it's really bad and the letters looking like they're moving.
Oh. Yeah. Now, see, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't like to read things off of a computer monitor. With the flat screens, it's not so bad. But when it was back in the days of the CRT monitors, I could always see a little bit of movement out of the text, that it was never quite stable. It always seemed to, have a bit of a wave to it.
Well, that's what it looks like even on the piece of paper.
Yeah.
For sometimes, if it's getting bad, I mean, sometimes
Yeah,
it's not. Sometimes
I
it's not bad.
understand this is how it is for some people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually fairly rare, but a lot of people think or have the common misconception that most people with dyslexia will see it with moving. But I was trying to replicate it. This isn't an exact one for one,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I get the idea though.
yeah, I was just trying to get the concept across of what it was like.
Yeah. Yeah, with mine, it's just I don't get all the letters in the right order. I often have to read the same sentence 3 or 4 times just to get everything in the right order for it to make sense.
No, I haven't tried those glasses. I have heard of them though.
Yeah, there are also a couple of people have published fonts that were supposed to be to help dyslexics, just as far as like making similar characters like the B and D more distinctive from each other.
Yeah, I have looked at some of those fonts are helpful, but
Yeah,
to an extent.
unfortunately, in actual tests, and it may just be that, dyslexia manifests differently in each case, but in actual tests, they were finding that the fonts really didn't make that much of a difference.
Hmm. So you see me majorly screwing up when I'm reading. That's the reason why.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize that you had that much difficulty with it. I should have read it.
Yeah, that's okay. It's good for me to read this shit.
Oh. Yeah, and, well, yeah, I missed last week because I was still at my brother's working on his deck railings, but, I have the van back. So appreciate the help of everybody who donated for that. And she's looking beautiful because I mentioned before that 80% of those vans all came in that same color red. So the parts you got from the scrapyard matched perfectly. There was no need to paint it, which that alone, saved quite a bit. I mean, a paint job on a car these days is probably like $1,000 in itself. But yeah, you can't even tell it was in a wreck. And since it was in that condition, I also took advantage of the situation that I hadn't done the title transfer yet. So I took pictures of it in its wrecked condition, and I took the first damage estimate, or the first body shop estimate I had from it when I went to get the title transferred, saying that I had bought it in a wrecked state, and you know, then they had to subtract the cost of the estimated repairs from the Blue Book value to figure out the taxes, and that saved me about $800 on the title transfer. I didn't realize title transfers had gotten so expensive, but then again, I was always used to, you know, buying cars for like under $1,000 because that's all I could ever afford.
Yeah, the my my car that I got was really I got from my aunt, and the engine was being they had the engine replaced in it, and so all I had to do is pay him for the engine replacement, and I got the car. That was a pretty good deal. So effectively, it was like a brand new car inside.
Yeah, well, six of my last 8 vehicles I actually got as barter, for redoing something on somebody's house, and they gave me an old car that they had sitting around doing nothing. So that's pretty much for me. Most of them I've just had to, work it off for a few weeks. Oh, hey, Dave. Yeah, and Commander, I had seen you pop in at the beginning of the stream, so I thought you were here the whole time. So, Dave, what is your opinion on, is Bigfoot an alien or an extra-dimensional alien?
An ultra terrestrial, extraterrestrial, native to the planet, Xenu.
Yeah. Well, that's why, some people claim that they can never track them because they can just, slip through to a different dimension.
That was actually used in the real Ghostbusters cartoon.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I remember the cartoon. I don't remember specific episodes. Yeah,
that was my
Mark
favorite
here.
cartoon going. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Uh,
Mark
the,
here. The title transfer is just the retail sales tax on whatever the current, market value of the vehicle is. So in my case, it was going to be 8.5% on $12,000.
yeah, real Ghostbusters was my favorite cartoon even as a kid.
Yeah, they did really well with that, but it kept coherent with the movie.
More or less.
Yeah.
Though in they actually are in two different separate canons. And in the real Ghostbusters cartoon in their canon, the movie was actually based on them. So they actually have a scene where actually have an episode where they make a movie, and it's the Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, yeah, like I said, I don't remember particular episodes. Maybe I should go back and rewatch those. It's kinda rolling the dice going back and watching cartoons I remember from a long time ago, because sometimes they hold up, more often than not. Like, even the original Transformers was a better memory than it was a show.
I've watched it since then.
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
I have 2. a friend of mine had gotten it on disc and lent it to me, and it's just that the writing really wasn't good.
And speaking of Ghostbusters, apparently the new movie Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire is out, or no, release date the 22nd, so 2 days from now.
I actually haven't even seen either of the two newer movies.
Apparently, some critics have gotten a hold of it and they don't like it, which probably means it's probably a good movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, we knew they weren't gonna like it.
I mean, these days when the professional critics hate something, it usually means it's good.
Yeah, Ember's right. You have to distinguish between, was it the original Ghostbusters or the real Ghostbusters?
No, well, it's a little bit interesting. No, the real Ghostbusters is what I'm talking about. The one with the four ones and Slimer.
Yeah,
But yeah, there was another one in the Filmation Ghostbusters cartoon, and though they're kind of reversed. So you have the original Filmation Ghostbusters series, and then you have the movie, he and they weren't sure if they could get the rights to the name for the movie. And that's the reason why, if you notice on the building, they actually have a different name on there. But they were able to get the rights for the movie, but they didn't have exactly the rights for the cartoons. So that's the reason why they're called the real Ghostbusters, not just
mm,
Ghostbusters, the series. But the popularity from the movie and the cartoon, Filmation decided to use their own rights and create the Filmation Ghostbusters that you see that played alongside of it.
yep.
Like a year later.
I remember being confused by that both series were in the TV listing at the same time. Yeah, this is one of the fun things about the cartoons of, you know, picking up where they actually had jokes for adults in there that you didn't catch on to.
Yeah, and they actually use a lot of old stories and mythology and stuff in those early episodes.
Yeah, that's what I remember about the Ghostbusters cartoon was that, yeah, it referenced a lot of other mythologies. And well, that's a big reason why I like Stargate SG-1 so much was, that they actually did some research into the different mythologies for, how the different types of aliens would tie in with the different cultures they had interacted with.
Then you have the Extreme Ghostbusters in the late '90s.
Yeah, I don't think I ever watched that one.
It was sort of a continuation. The animation style is much different to the real Ghostbusters. Where all but Egon and Janine were still in the firehouse, and they basically trained up a new group of college students.
Yeah, I remember like seeing toys for it. That's about all I remember of that one.
So the real breakout character in that was Kylie Griffin. Sort of this goth girl.
Yeah, I actually didn't start watching Stargate until it was on the Sci-Fi Channel. I still have to go back and finish watching it. I still never saw the last few seasons.
Same here.
And then plus all the spin-offs they did of Atlantis and Continuum. I like Star Trek too. Again, I literally grew up on the original Star Trek.
Yeah. I used to sit in my dad's lap and watch actually the original Star Trek, and I also watched I was big into Star Trek, although I don't like the new stuff. I hate that stuff. Fuck that stuff. Don't get me started.
Yeah, well, that's I watched Next Generation, and I watched like the first couple seasons of Deep Space Nine, and I kind of lost interest after that. Voyager disappointed me because Voyager was the Star Trek show I had always wanted, and I really didn't like the way that they did it. Because it's something I kept asking about was, what if you just had one ship out there and they couldn't count on reinforcements?
Yeah,
So
they
that
didn't.
was the concept I really wanted to see, but I didn't like the way Voyager did it.
Yeah, they didn't execute the whole trying to get home and only being able to rely on themselves too well. But watching it over many years later, it was still pretty decent. It was still decent enough. And I still have my own little fan theory that at the worst episode, who that threshold where they had the warp 10 experiment, and that they turned into salamanders.
Yeah, I never saw that episode, but I've heard people talk about it.
Yeah, my whole fan theory on that is that uh, it was an Paris's dream. It was Tom Paris's dream.
Yeah, they had a weird episode about Next Generation too, where the crew started like devolving into their ancestral forms.
Oh yeah, the retrovirus that caused them to devolve. Well,
Yeah,
though in the threshold there, it was actually supposed to be saying that they actually evolved into these salamander things.
yeah. Whatever. That was one of the episodes we'll just kind of leave out. We'll pretend it was never done.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, God. I got Ethan back here, my new kitty. So he's gone 6 weeks from squawking and hiding to falling asleep in my lap. And while I was gone, he pulled a few items out of my laundry hamper to make a nest.
Well,
Apparently, he missed me.
well, as silly as that de-evolution episode was of TNG, some of the makeup on it was pretty decent. I'll give him that much.
Yeah. Well, Next Gen, was good with the makeup and the special effects, and no, there really isn't any such thing as de-evolution. I mean, even if if an animal did somehow resort back to something that looked like an ancestral form, that would really just be an instance of convergent evolution.
Mm.
Yeah, one thing I think that all the new Star Trek really missed on was that it was still like almost all the aliens were still humanoid bipeds. And I really, all the way back to Next Generation, I really thought they should have gone to, Jim Henson's Creature Workshop and just, put a couple of their weird things into Starfleet uniforms, even if they weren't featured characters, even if they just showed them walking past them in the corridors. I think that could have added a lot to it, just to have some things that were clearly not humanoid.
Mm. Yeah, they tried to kind of explain why their galaxy is full of humanoids. That didn't exactly work out. Apparently, they had this alien that showed up that seeded the galaxy. He so that most species would develop up a humanoid form.
Yeah, that's another episode I just kind of leave out of my head canon.
Yeah, there was some fan theories that those guys were the ancestral form of the changeling, since it was the same actress in similar makeup.
Yeah, but the idea of aliens, seeding humanoids to all these different planets, really goes against the idea of then why the hell are we related to all the other primates on this planet?
Though at
You
least they
know?
were, though at least if you actually kind of look at it, they did kind of remain rather consistent with that, because is the any aliens from outside our galaxy in Star Trek are not humanoid.
Yep.
I mean, even the ones that there was one in that alien species that showed up in the original series who they're being played by humans, but that was just a disguise. That
Yeah.
wasn't their true form.
Yeah, I know there were a couple of those, and there were, like, some shape-shifting aliens that when they were talking to them, they wouldn't go on visual until they, asked about what their form was so they could make themselves appear to be similar. I did like Enterprise. I I didn't really like the part about the temporal war, but I thought when they were just dealing with, other aliens they were encountering, overall, it was a pretty good show.
uh, 50-50 for me. I don't really like the premise of doing prequels in Star Trek. I think it's antithetical to Star Trek in general. Uh, and I tend to chalk that one up to being Riker or his holodeck novel that didn't quite get history quite right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't hold it against the series. Actually, I think most of the series that were good over the long run usually didn't really get good until the 3rd season. And I think that usually it took, like, those first 2 seasons for the writers and actors to get a good grip on who the characters were. So just, not even sci-fi, but just TV shows in general. I think that a lot of them kind of have to stumble through the first 2 seasons to really establish the characters before they get really good. Hey, Minnow. So, yeah, DS9 is, getting some very positive votes here.
I actually, one of my favorite episodes from DS9 was the I can't remember what it was called, some sort of vision or something that Cisco had where he was Benny. He in I think it was the 50s or 60s, and he was a sci-fi writer.
Yeah, Babylon 5 is another one I haven't seen, but, from what I've heard, I would probably like it. I should go back and watch it.
Yeah, you probably would. If you like Stargate and Star Trek, you'd like Babylon 5.
Yeah, generally, I like the Orville. They had a couple of episodes that were duds, but most of it was really quite good. And again, you can tell that they were building up to a larger story. Um, the thing with I forget what Isaac's race was called again. But the thing of them going out to destroy all organic life forms.
Kalons.
Yeah, Kalons. Yeah, yeah. I think that if they were going to do that, they probably should have built up to it longer. But overall, I didn't really care for that aspect of it.
I thought it was a pretty decent episode.
Yeah, it was decent. I just kind of the concept of them concluding that all organic life is a problem. Yeah, it didn't seem logical to me. It didn't seem like it seemed a little inconsistent with the philosophy of the race for them to have come to that conclusion.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, from what I've heard, the Orville was that Seth MacFarlane was trying to pitch a new Star Trek, but they wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah, so he made one his own in Star Trek, like with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually quite like the Orville's. I consider it to be the spiritual successor to Star Trek. It has Star Trek's soul.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I think it had more of Star Trek in it than some of the other later Star Trek shows.
I would recommend if you're watching it from the first season, well, at least give it to the third episode. That's where I think it really you started getting good.
Yeah, again, I think especially the early episodes, just because of what people expected from Seth MacFarlane, they had to play it more for comedy, and they had to kind of pull the audience into the idea that he could do something serious.
Yeah, and that third season and really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, Firefly was excellent too. Again, it was a shame it never really was given a chance. It was clear somebody at the network was trying to kill it from the very beginning.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see Firefly until after the movie was out.
Yeah.
Then I got to go back and watch the series.
Yeah, and it's like you can tell that the movie was a very rushed attempt to wrap up loose ends, that they expected to have at least another full season to play out. And that was unfortunate that they didn't really, have more time to, play into explaining what the Reekers were.
Yeah, actually, the very first episode of the series I saw was the one where it starts with Malcolm sitting there butt ass naked, looking like he just got robbed, saying that went well.
Well, you're not dead, so I suppose it at least gives you a chance to try again.
Yeah, after seeing that opening, I'm like, okay, I definitely missed something here.
Yeah. I also liked Farscape, and again, I liked it in the beginning. But after like the second season, that they changed the main villain, and that a Scorpio or whoever the new main villain was, it
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
he just didn't click with me. He just I guess the whole persona of him being menacing just to be sadistic, you know, it did his motivations didn't really seem very believable to me.
Mm. Yeah, the first I can't remember the guy's name now. It's been so long since I've seen that series. But the first antagonist this was had at least had some decent motives to
Yeah,
him.
and okay, they kind of gave him a redemption arc, which, made sense. I mean, he was upset about his brother's death. After a couple of years, he may have come to terms with it. So that would have been fine for, that he went off with the baby ship and that, but just the villain that they put in there, I think it would have made more sense for them to, have a villain with more political motivations there. That just worked better.
And then the later season of Stargate, SG-1 became more of a dumping ground for all the characters that from all the old sci-fi episodes and shows that got canceled. So they had the fire. They had Farscape characters. They had some of the stuff from Enterprise in there.
On the plus side, the early loss of Firefly pissed off author J.S. Morin enough to write books based on it. Plus, he added Wizards, hundreds of hours of audio, and still going. Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have to check those out. And the Majestic Beck. Hello. And Brainless Steel. Did another stream just wrap up that we got a bunch of new people coming in now? Oh. I was actually doing pretty well. Actually, yesterday I finally crashed and I stayed in bed 12 hours and caught up on some of the sleep I missed during my trip. Because unfortunately, having to work outside and needing daylight hours doesn't work with what my normal schedule is. So I was, getting up every day for a week there. I was getting up 2 hours earlier than I was used to, and I wasn't getting to sleep any earlier.
I took some melatonin last night to get myself to sleep. I only slept about 3 hours and had a little nap before the stream started.
Well, my doctor finally, I went back to trazodone for the sleep, and he gave me a limited supply of Xanax for the anxiety. And the two of them in combination works pretty well, but I don't get enough of the Xanax to be able to take it all the time because he's afraid it would become habit forming. But for me, the idea that I can get a decent night's sleep even once a week is just an amazing improvement in my life.
I don't take the melatonin every night though, because I don't want to build up resistance to stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the same thing with the Xanax, that if I took it more than a couple times a week, they're afraid that I would, just get addicted to it and would stop being effective.
Some people it works well, some people it doesn't. The trick to it apparently is you want to get a very low dose of it. I actually take one that's only a 300 in microgram. Taking actually more can actually not work to as well, believe it or not. And you don't want to take it with, and if you had any alcohol, you don't want to take it with alcohol because it'll actually reverse the effects.
I did not know that alcohol reversed the effects of the melatonin.
That actually it'll make you stay awake.
Huh. I had never heard that. I did try the melatonin. And at one point it worked for me for about 3 months, and then I seemed to become resistant to it. That it didn't work after that.
Yeah, that's the reason why I don't take it consistently. I only take it maybe,
Yeah.
2-3 nights if I'm doing it in a row. And I'll give it like 4 or 5 days. He's after that, or at least a week or so. So I don't.
Yeah, well, that's the doctor was advising me to take it every night. Like I say, it worked for a little while, but I have a history of that too with a lot of medications.
I've heard other people say that they who took it every night for a while, it stopped working. So yeah, it does that.
Yeah, just my brain chemistry has done that with a lot of the psych meds, especially that they've given me.
Yeah. And
That
also,
they'll initially work for the first couple of months, and then I just go back to how I was.
yeah, and also when you first take it, it might not seem like it's working at first.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell if it's actually working or if it's just a placebo effect or something.
Yeah, yeah, I've tried placebo too. Unfortunately, that didn't work on me. I wish it would have. My problem is I analyze all the medications way too much. It's kind of hard to get the placebo effect if you study things.
No, actually, even knowing it's a placebo, you can still have the placebo effect.
Well, if anybody else wants to jump in here, I know we've got a whole new crowd there.
Yeah, we still got at least 50 minutes here to fill.
Yep. So, Ember, Brainless Steel, Kentucky. If any of you have something to say today, we're just kind of wandering around randomly to topics, but
Going from topic to topic, without any breaks, it was really quite hypnotic.
actually, this is another problem for me. If it's the wrong kind of sugar, it can actually cause me a problem. Because I'm allergic to sugar cane. So if I have anything with cane sugar, it triggers my migraines. Beet sugar I'm fine with, which, fortunately in the Midwest, most of the stuff is beet sugar, but yeah, the HRT, that can be the drugs, and that can also be just kind of a reduced anxiety if you feel, it's a relief that you started transitioning.
Yeah,
That's I've heard both from various other people who are transitioned.
I wonder if there's actually any research on that.
Ah, I'm sure there has been some.
Women's health of concern research says yes, many studies have consistently shown a benefit of HRT on sleep in women who have vasomotor symptoms.
Yeah, and I can see that the drugs would help, but for some people, it's kind of the hormones being out of balance can make sleep more difficult as well.
Yep. In fact, that was
So,
this. Yeah, the next one down is a different regimen of menopause hormone therapy. The HC improved subjective sleep quality in 12 of randomized controlled trials. So yeah, apparently HRT does improve sleep.
yeah, that I had heard that from a number of people. It's one of the really wonderful things about the internet. I mean, without it, I could have never met, so many other trans people, that I might have found a group here and, maybe met half a dozen, that I can actually be talking to ones from all over the world on a regular basis. I've also been learning a lot more about the big crossover between transgender and autistic.
Hmm.
That it is much more common for people on the autism spectrum to be transgender than people in the general population. Like on the order of 4 or 5 times more common. But I wonder if part of that, is if a lot of people being autistic don't understand a lot of the social conventions. So maybe with that, also not feeling the social pressure to necessarily fit into specific gender roles.
So something that's kind of interesting. I just came across. It's on today's topic.
Oh yeah, this
alien timelines.
well, this goes along with what Mark Caesar said earlier about how, alien abduction stories seem to go along with the current science fiction.
Starting with the Little Green Men in 1947, where the flying saucer craze began. Get the 1950 guys. Kelly KY Goblins, Hairy Dwarves in the 1950s. Very humanoid. I guess those are like the Pleiadians or Nords in 1956. Blobs. Betty and Barney Hill's Abduction in 1961.
Yeah, and that's when the Greys became really popular.
So you can see that's been going on for like 15 years already. So they could have built up in quite a bit of a zeitgeist. The 10-foot Cyclopses in 1963. Robots.
I wonder, 63, I wonder if those 10-foot Cyclopses coordinate with when the movie When the Earth Stood Still came out. Because that description kind of fits the robot from that. Also, that silhouette of the Mothman there, to me, that silhouette looks an awful lot like the monster from the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Mothman. Oh, actually, I think the Mothman might have been an owl.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Oh, and in the Day the Earth Stood Still came out in 1951. But
okay,
still could have been
even older than I thought. Yeah.
Still could have been an influence. I mean,
yep.
12-year-old movie. You got the Greys who they're Three-Eyed Giant. Again, could have been influenced by that movie. Insectoid. Yada. 1973. It kind of looks like a furry cat. Between the black and
the
worker suit there.
Yeah, or a Bigfoot.
Travis Walton Abduction in 1975. Didn't they make a movie out of that one?
Probably. I don't specifically remember.
Going in 1977, Robots, Reptilian, though that looks like a big green cat to me.
Yep. Actually, that looks like the Michelin Man with a cat head.
Blue green cat thing. Fairies in 1979. Lizard Men. Which we really need to get out of our government. No. And you notice after once we get into the 1990s, they're all just grays. And we're back to green aliens.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I remember saying that the War of the Worlds was 1938. Yeah, I'm trying to scroll back through the side chat because I wasn't watching it there for a while. Yeah, Slim's going to be starting in about half an hour, isn't he? So that's usually about the time we're wrapping up here.
Yeah, when does he start?
I think he starts at 4 o'clock my time, which is, like I say, about half an hour from now.
Upcoming show. $52 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Starting at 5:30.
He starts on the half hour. Uh, yeah, actually, from what I was reading, they were pretty clear that they felt that autistic people were more likely to be trans. Why are so many aliens green? Well, according to Jenny, they're only green when they're, actually aroused. So, they just, if they're green, they think you're hot. And Captive Death says, I covered Betty and Barney Hill in a Grassman Chronicle video. Yeah, I remember that one. Their description of an alien matched an episode of the Alien in the Outer Limits episode.
Yep,
Yep.
that's what I pointed out earlier in the Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's Mage was bringing that up about from the drawing that they did under hypnosis. Looked a lot like the Outer Limits alien that had been on just a couple of weeks earlier.
So, what else we got here?
Yeah, there were, even well before we had TV. Yeah, you had Jules Verne and other authors, and actually even a lot of the alien abduction stories. Actually, if you go back to classic mythology, are very similar to the stories they tell about people interacting with the gods and demigods. I'd actually thought particularly the story of Rip Van Winkle about him, falling asleep in an elf mound and, coming out that what he thought was like the next day and it was 20 years later.
100 years later.
Yeah. But yeah, I had actually thought that wouldn't that be what would happen if he was taken aboard a ship that was traveling at sublight speed, that took him back to their planet and, whatever, ran some tests on him, showed him a few things, and then brought him back to Earth. That, he could have aged hardly at all during that time.
Let's see, do I have it in here?
The Loch Ness Monster sightings also closely resembled the beastie in the 1930s King Kong movie. Pop culture drives most of the sightings and descriptions of said beasties, ghosts, aliens, exorcisms, etc. Oh, yeah. I remember that one. For a Disney movie, Flight of the Navigator was really quite good. For something that was trying to be brought down to the level that 10-year-old could understand. They did a good job with it.
Here's what I wrote. Time-traveling Jesus. Yahweh isn't actually a god, but a time traveler who is stuck in a causality loop. First, Jesus goes back in time with his advanced technology to observe the formation of the universe. Here he renames himself Yahweh. His presence results in devastating consequences, radically altering the way the earth formed. When he then goes back and corrects this, so it never happened in history. He goes on the proper course, leaving no trace. He's thus explaining, things like the flood and all that. He now goes forward in time and tells the story of what he did to some Bronze Age people. Well, he goes even further forward where he meets and has sex with his own mother, producing himself as a child, Jesus. This that and child grows up and is executed while in the tomb. His future self shows up, brings him to the far future where they have the technology to revive him, which and his revival is the second coming, and after being revived, Jesus steals the time traveling technology from his future self and goes back like 3 days after he was placed in the tomb. He walks around for a bit. It uses the advanced technology to travel back in time, which looks like him ascending to observe the formation of the universe, and the loop repeats.
Yep. Well, I have a plan that as soon as I get access to a time machine, I am going to go back to when the first time machine was invented and destroy that guy's design so I can take credit for inventing it. See, that's why you don't know about time travelers. I'm the only one. I eliminated all the ones before me.
And when did I write that up? It was 2015.
Yeah.
Huh.
Actually, my second novel, which nobody ever needs to read, was dealing with a group of time travelers. I had some fun with it. I still kind of like time travel stories, but of course there's a lot of paradox problems. But one of the bits I dealt with for it was that they needed a way to kind of fund their operations without drawing attention to themselves. So like, you don't want to be winning the lottery or hitting big on the stock market. So I took the idea of you could really finance it all with collectible toys. Like if I could go back to 1991, I could buy Fortress Maximus on clearance for $50, which these days sells for about 2,000. So it's like, yeah, you go back and you buy the collectible toys on clearance and you resell them at their peak.
Yeah. Just get the lottery numbers and go back.
See, that would attract too much attention.
Not really. Just do it. You only need to do it a few times. And there have been people who have won the lottery multiple times, so
Yeah, no, Mark, none of mine have been seen by more than a couple of friends, and yeah, the first two really, they were not good. They would require such massive rewrites as to be totally different books now. But what I'm working on now, I am hoping to self-publish when I get it done, but I'm great with coming up with the stories, not so good with actually typing them up in a form that other people can read. So yeah, it's still going to be a couple of years.
I was working on the story of on a zombie story myself. It's been kind of in the ether for quite a long time.
Well, basically it's like anytime my brain is idle, I have the characters dictating the stories to me. And I know from experience that they will not shut up until I actually write them down and show them to somebody else.
Yeah, the original idea for that zombie story was what would somebody who's really despicable, who's only kept in check because of society, what society would do to him. What would that sort of person do in a situation where society collapses?
Yeah, this is another thing I've wondered about the winning the lottery thing. Is that does the seed for the random numbers actually change based on how many tickets are purchased? Of course, if it's the one that like uses the ping pong balls, that couldn't affect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, brainless. I've seen the results of Chat GPT, and like I said, I've got the stories. It's just a matter of typing them up, and well, of course, it doesn't help now that my right hand. I've got one finger that has to cover all the keys for the right hand, so that has drastically slowed down my typing from what it was 10 years ago.
I started using Novel AI to help with some writing to just kind of fill in some spots for or help me along when I get stuck.
Well, and I tried using a text-to-speech thing or a speech-to-text thing, and unfortunately, just the way I write, that doesn't work well because it's kind of like I'll write a few paragraphs, and then I'll wind up having just to go back and kind of revise it because I don't quite like the phrasing or the way it flows.
Well, you're always going to have to keep going back and reworking things.
Yeah,
So,
that's I'm doing so much editing while I'm writing that the speech to text didn't work out well for me.
yeah, that's one thing I found in what one way of finding to help kind of go around it is don't really worry about the editing unless it's like really messed up, and just write the whole thing and then go back, read through the whole thing and fix up what you want, read back through the whole thing and just keep editing it from there once you've gotten it written.
Yeah, actually, I've a number of writers have given that advice, and I probably should try it, but I can't seem to just let it go like that. It's like I say, it's like I get like 3 paragraphs down and I realize that that doesn't quite match with what the character said, at the top of the page, so I've gotta go fix that. And I feel like I have to go fix it right away, or I may not notice it later and, then I'll have something incongruous in the story because I won't catch it when I read it back.
Well, speaking about this, is kind of got me. You remember thinking back on my X-Men and stories here. I've got. I was just going to basically the general, for anyone who doesn't know, the general just hello. The general gist of those is looking at all the different incarnations of them from the movies, the comic books, the Ultimate Comics, the 616
Yep.
universe. There's the cartoons, and I wanted to combine the different elements together to into the story, into my own little story. eh. So
Yep.
there's some stuff that I've just basically lifted that from the stories already. Some stuff I'm writing in my own writing.
Yeah. Well, actually, the first thing I wrote that was actually novel length was actually a fanfic based on the Dragon Riders of Pern series.
And I had to imagine this being sort of actually done in a comic book form, but I'm just sticking to just strict text, which is a bit of a challenge since I imagined it in a both visual and read form, so it makes a difference.
If you want to see some of my greatest fan fiction, you should have seen some of the proofs by induction I turned in for discrete math.
I've done some of my own stuff, fan fiction stuff for Ghostbusters and other things as well.
Yeah, I've done some shorter fanfics for different shows that I like, but those are things I generally just do for my own fun, and I don't really let anybody else read.
Yeah, I mostly do it. I mostly treat it as practice.
Fan fiction is always something that has baffled me.
Oh, why's that?
Because I always thought it's just, I get wanting like your favorite thing to continue, but why would you do something that you know is not going to be as good as the original, probably? And why not create your own characters?
I actually do create my own characters, as though I have something of a rule for doing that. First of all, my rules are, or the character cannot be related or in a relationship with a canon character. Try and keep them separate as much as possible.
Math
And
pig fan fiction?
Yeah, I have accidentally donated ideas for the Math Pig fan fiction, and yeah, I'm not gonna go read that. No.
I don't want to know.
Well, okay, just based on the live stuff MathPig has actually done, particularly the live stream with the McKinney, but and basically the hashtag blame MathPig has been trending for the last, I don't know, 6 or 7 years.
Well, Soros has said that all of his fan art is canon, so have at it with those who want to contribute to that.
I know. I wish I could draw because I get ideas for it, but I can't draw anything.
One idea I had recently is if I had a lot of fuck you money I could just throw around and waste, I'd sign up to his Patreon at the highest tier under the name the Uwooiest Uwu. Just so he'd have to say it every time I'm at the end of his videos.
What I'll do is they say I'll do it. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he already has that at the end of his videos.
Yeah. Sagittarius, I'm not saying the rest of that.
Yep. But yeah, I have wished that, I could find somebody who was, an artist to work with me on some stories, because it's like some of the stories I've had, I've really envisioned more as like graphic novels.
Yeah.
But, it's the talent does not match the ambition there. But as far as fanfics go, I think, a lot of them, which is why you get a lot of Mary Sue characters, is just, somebody really loves some work of fiction and they just kind of want to write a story about what if they could live in that universe.
I usually make mine as alternate realities to the canon, so I'm not stepping on any toes.
Yeah. Well, that's like I say, my first one was, based on the Dragon Riders of Pern, but I wrote that when I was like 14, 15, so it's it's pretty much what you would expect from a teenager at that point.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I did do a video game based on someone's webcomic based on their permission, but with their permission, but
yeah. Well, that's why it's a lucky thing that the only surviving copy of that first novel is on disc that can only be read on a Commodore 1541 drive.
I have one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I've now met a couple of people who have, but
I don't know if it works, but
yeah. With any luck, the discs have degraded in storage to the point where the files will be unreadable.
That probably is what happened.
I haven't actually tried putting them in a drive for like 15 years, so I don't know if anything could be read off of them. Also, the fact that they have not been in climate-controlled storage, so they've gone through many, many, many freeze-thaw cycles.
Okay, enjoy those links to my games. Some of them may even work. The links. The games all work, I know that much.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Enjoy the links to some of the games might even work. Okay, no. Games work, links might not work, okay.
Well, the problem is they worked on my computer. Which, the final one you'll need Python, so it may not work.
Yeah, I have considered starting playing with the AI art, though. The AI art is still quite controversial, and I do understand, some of the artist's objections to it.
I don't know. Actually, I know some people use them for title cards on YouTube because you can get dinged for using regular images.
Yeah, that's what Bree has been doing those. Bree's gotten quite good with it.
Well, I mean, first of all, AI art was just done in such a way that they were really careless about their data sets and where they pulled the information from.
Yeah.
So, it's basically copyright, a intellectual property theft engine at this point.
I don't know.
So
okay, Steel is saying that your links aren't working.
I'm pretty sure some of them do. Well, one won't work because I have 2 backslashes, which was a mistake. And some of them should be, they all should be, oh, and I misspelled Sinister Porpoise multiple times. Should all be sinisterporpoise2.itch.io.
Okay, so just some typos.
Consider the copy and paste.
But it's not like they're just there. It's not like, I think I've gotten like 598 from them altogether, so whatever. If I had more time, I could put more out, but
Yeah, unfortunately, you need to do a job that pays the bills first. See, this is one of the arguments for a UBI, is that, you know, creative types would have a chance to actually focus on their creative endeavors and actually be able to produce things if they weren't worried about having to work themselves to exhaustion just to pay the rent.
the Sinister Porpoise is also a tired substitute teacher right now.
Yep.
No, I never did get the Trump tweet Storm Space Invaders clone done.
Huh.
But that was not appreciated by some people for some reason.
Really? I wonder which demographic that would be that didn't care for it.
I don't know. The whole idea was just use a Twitter account to shoot down fake news.
Since I was just talking about X-Men, apparently that X-Men 97 is out today.
Oh. So are there any DC Comics fans? Is John Constantine coming back anytime soon?
Not that I know of, though. Interesting stories on that. Some of the people who worked on the comic claim to have met him.
John Constantine?
Yep.
But he's a fictional character.
Yep. One even said they talked to him.
I mean, there might be someone whose name is legitimately John Constantine, but I'm sure DC will bring the character back if it's popular enough. They're just waiting. Because I think they killed him off at the end of the Apocalypse. Most recent Apocalypse storyline.
Yeah, I don't follow the DC stuff at all. I really don't follow any of the comics anymore.
I never follow them deeply, but Constantine is an interesting character.
Yeah, he is.
You know, basically he sells his soul to save someone, and is that still canon? I don't know. I think they changed his backstory.
Who knows? They like to fuck up their characters these days.
I don't know. That sounds kind of similar to the Ghost Rider thing.
Not exactly. Ghost Rider is being possessed by the spirit of vengeance.
Whereas John Constantine basically sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah.
To save, I think, like a girl from dying of cancer or something.
He was the influence to one of the influences to my own Ghostbuster character, your Jack.
But I mean, there are analogs between DC and Marvel, like Tony Stark's Iron Batman that can have fun. The Punisher is Batman without restraint.
Yeah.
To some extent. So, Alan Moore. One day I was in Westminster in London, and this was after he had introduced the character or John Constantine, and I was sitting in a sandwich bar. All of a sudden, and up the stairs came John Constantine, and he was wearing the trench coat, a short cut. He looked no, he didn't even look exactly like Sting. He looked exactly like John Constantine. He looked at me. He stared me straight in the eye. Jeez, that's loud. Hey, what?
Yep.
I'm gonna mute you.
Yeah, I was trying to get to the button to mute him. Or mute her, sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm misgendering people.
Oh well. He looked at me. He stared me straight in the eye. He smiled, nodded. It almost was conspiratorial, really, and then just walked off around the corner to the other part of the snack bar. I sat there and thought, should I go around the corner and see if he's really there, or should I just eat my sandwich and leave? I opted for the latter. Or I thought it was the safest. I'm not making any claims into anything. I'm just saying this is that it happened in a strange little story. His second meeting with the creation was illustrated in 2001 in Snakes and Ladder. Is an adaptation of Eddie Campbell of one and of more performance in some feet. You later in another place he steps out of the dark and speaks to me. He whispers, "As I'll tell you the ultimate secret of magic. Any cunt could do it." So in that case, Alan Moore says in the second meeting says that he met John Constantine and he spoke with him.
Yeah, I think Doorknob has it that every time a Christian starts a sentence, well, Jesus is, or Jesus would, or Jesus wants, that's a form of fan fiction.
Apparently, he met him for a third time as well.
Well, not actually met him, but saw him, it sounds like. At least that first encounter. Sounds like you didn't actually speak with him or anything.
Well, like I said, the second encounter, the guy was the John Constantine was from. I'll tell you, the ultimate secret of magic, and he could do it. So apparently, he did speak to him at one point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, in the later encounter.
See, Peter Milligan and saw Constantine at a party around 2009 and rushed after him, only to find he disappeared.
Yep. Doorknob head. I'm afraid that my trench coat was taken by Maya and stuffed full of weasels, so you'll have to go check out her streams on Sunday.
Brian Azzarello once saw him in a Chicago bar, but avoided him, saying that the thing about John is the last thing you'd want to be as his friend.
Like I said, I don't really know anything about the character, so.
Jamie
okay, yes, we need to verify the ultimate secret of magic to see if he gave him the right one.
Ember, the ultimate secret of magic is friends don't let friends play blue.
Don't let friends play blue? Okay, obviously a video game reference that I don't know anything about here.
Well, one, it's a card game, so.
Oh.
Jamie Delano also claims to have encountered Constantine during his run on the character outside the British Museum. So apparently, people who've worked on the comic keep running into this guy.
So the character shows up in our universe just to inspire the creators, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
That sounds, more like a Deadpool thing. Talking back to the creators.
Well, yeah, breaking the third wall thing.
Yeah, actually, back in the 90s, She-Hulk was known for doing that.
Yeah, actually,
talking directly to the comic illustrators.
She-Hulk in the early days is did that actually before Deadpool.
Yeah.
But it was late. But it was more of, or when the character is more of a joke character though, which is kind of a problem. Why it was a bit of a problem in doing it for the series.
But she did do it in this series.
Like I said, that's part of the reason why it was part of a problem.
I played with that kind of ideas too, but yeah, it's good for a punchline here and there, but you can't really do a lot of it.
I think it's more like along the lines like when writers or video game designers say this character told me they wanted something. It's like the character doesn't have a real existence. It's like the character has existence in your mind, and you can think of like this is.
Yep.
Basically, you can think in the way that character would think, and the character will say, "It's like, oh yeah, this is what I want you to do."
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Just that, anytime my brain is like idle, if I'm not thinking about something particular, my characters start narrating the stories to me. Which when I was doing just, mind-numbing physical work that was very repetitive, that went on all day for weeks and months at a time.
The zombie story I've worked on actually came from a lot of bigger. One of the inspirations for it was a recurring nightmare I've had, which I've actually written into the story as somebody else's nightmare.
Yep. Yeah, okay, yeah, everybody remember to do the bad carpenter and hit a thumb. YouTube really doesn't care which one, it just counts as an engagement. Oh, sorry, Mage, did I cut you off there?
Nope.
Starting to get headaches here.
Oh. Should we end this soon then?
Well, I was waiting for Porpoise to come back and see what she has to say today, since she just recently joined in.
Well, I don't have anything to say on the subject of alien abductions because I don't think they're real. I mean, I'm sure I could make up something.
Yeah, well, Jenny did.
Pennsylvania has lots of back roads and rural areas.
Well, the closest I came was, getting a really cute transgender who, while assigned male at birth, was never able to pass as male. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's an alien abduction, but...
Okay, alien, so we're monitoring the Earth's transmissions. You heard that. Sinister Porpoise is in desperate need of anal probing.
Yeah, well, I have never had the anal probe. That end is definitely exit only. Nothing is inserted there. If it takes an idle mind for your interior voices to speak to you, your mind is catonic. Well, I guess that my mind was catonic for pretty much all the years I was living in Michigan then.
Catatonic.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's one of the traits of my dyslexia, that I'll often wind up picking a word that sounds close and has a completely different meaning.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, I can tell you that the Earth is going to be destroyed next Thursday to make way for a hyperspace bypass.
Next Thursday, so we don't even get to see the eclipse?
Well, at least they're not going to torture us with their poetry first.
Well, the whole point of the eclipse is to give them a chance to replace the light bulb in the sun. No one thinks alien abduction is real until they get abducted. Well, yeah, because that's why the government has to discredit all of these, so nobody takes them seriously. And brainless, that's I think that's just a TMI thing. Anal probes always come with a twist. I guess I haven't seen that sort of anal probe, but Surus is still sponsored by the now I forget the name of it, but a store that sells those sort of things.
DDLG Playground.
Okay, that's the one. Mark Caesar says, I was created by God only 30 minutes ago with all the memories of the past. If the world ends, it won't be a biggie.
Well, the world.
Well, apparently one ring came across a rainbow-colored three-way butt plug.
Yeah, I saw that and really wished I hadn't.
I fortunately did not click on the link, so I did not see the image. Hey, pal. You're caught again. Oop. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Where's my kitty? I need to clean the kitty's litter box.
Yeah. Oh, hey, side effect of my trip. I have found, we know the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42. I discovered the question. It not only is a very British question, but it is a question that inevitably Arthur Dent would have arrived at if the Earth had not been destroyed and he had ever taken a trip to the United States.
You mean the answer?
Well, the question, we know the answer is 42. He needed the question.
He didn't need the question. He just needed a good cup of tea.
No, you need...
Exactly. Tea is the key to it. Because the question is that if you are going to be traveling alone in the United States for a week, how many tea bags do you need to bring with you? 42. I needed 42 tea bags for the trip.
But I don't like tea.
No, but it's the question that a British person traveling in the U.S. would come up with. And especially Arthur Dent, since his whole thing was always a quest for a decent cup of tea. So if he had ever come to the U.S. for a week, he would need to bring 42 tea bags.
I think the whole point is that he never answered it because it didn't mean it. Because he wanted people to argue over what he meant.
Oh yeah, I know. But no, I just realized that when I was unpacking from my trip that I had used 42 tea bags. Get me done. So with that, since we have given everybody the secret to the universe, I suppose we can wrap up here. And in about 15 minutes, Slim will be starting. So give everybody time to refill their drinks and bathroom breaks.
Is X-Men 97 based on the 90s series, which was pretty good?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a direct continuation, but I'm kind of questioning whether it actually is continuing it.
Well,
I mean, say.
I doubt it's going to be a direct continuation. It's been over, 30 years now?
Well, that's what they're claiming it is, so I'm going to be judging it on that standard.
It's different writers, different art style. I mean, the art style looks close from what I've seen, slightly updated, but Gambit looks the same as he did in the cartoon.
Yeah. Some different voice actors, too.
Well, some of the voice actors died, though, too, so...
Well, they didn't have to replace... They only replaced them because they wanted character... They wanted, like, an Asian person voicing the Asian person and so forth, that crap. But
Well, that makes sense. I mean, for heaven's sakes, the way Storm was drawn, you wouldn't even know she was black.
Mm.
no, you can tell she was black.
I couldn't.
Well, if it's based on the characters from the 90s, I might be able to connect to it. You know, mostly it was like the late 80s, early 90s when I stopped following comic books.
I was hoping I'd get a chance to see it before this stream started, so I could do a review. But no such luck. I have to wait.
I did see in my feed one person had done a review on the first 2 episodes, but I hadn't had a chance to watch it today. But as I say, I was thinking we should wrap up here. So,
Yeah.
Porpoise, you put your game links out there. You have anything else you want to plug?
If you want to check out my new channel, and which honestly I would like to get back to my regular channel at some point, but I would have to have a point where I can either have a different job or I'm making enough to live off of.
All right. Yeah, you were saying you think it would cause problems for any of your students to recognize you online, huh?
Well, I mean, the issue wouldn't. If the issue was there was a problem I had with a certain other YouTuber, and a lot of that was snarky responses to him.
Okay.
Which does fall under the category of cyberbullying. Whether or not he's a good person.
Yeah.
But there's the new channel, the Mad Computer Scientist. As long as I don't have to even ever cover another Redeem Zoomer video where he's trying to insinuate math is God.
Okay, let me copy that link into the description too. I've seen a couple of different people trying to push the math is God angle lately. I haven't felt it was a good argument for any of them. Oh, damn.
Well, he's just misunderstanding Dr. Jason Lyle to begin with, so.
When I tried to copy your link, it got truncated there.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, could you repost it in the private chat here so I can copy it to the description?
I mean, I think I can get my own link, personal link, as soon as it gets to 100 subscribers. Right now it's at 47, if I recall.
Okay, people. So yeah, let's at least get Porpoise's new channel to 100 so you can get the customized channel name or customized channel link.
Fortunately, fractals aren't physics, Amber. But Dr. Jason Lyle does he have a PhD in physics, or is it in math?
Don't know.
Nor do I care that much.
Math is agnostic.
Math isn't God. God does math. Okay, well.
Only similarity I see with math and God is human constructs to explain functioning of the world around us. Yeah.
I thought maths was a pig.
Yeah. Hey, Regios, I didn't realize you were here with us. Okay, well, Mage, I know you've got some projects you've been working on. You expect to be putting anything online soon, or it's going to take you a while?
I hope to get something out next week or so. I was kind of going back and forth on whether I want to do basically a thing on weeding, or I was thinking maybe doing something on as a tribute to Toriyama. doing a sort of speculative gardening on sensu beans. It's a type of bean that was in his Dragon Ball stories.
Ah,
And a long project is the GMO video, which is going to be months from now. But there's a lot of research and stuff I have to do on that in the meantime. So that's got me pretty busy.
well, I was never really good at gardening, but I did find, a good way to tell the weeds from the seedlings when I was starting out.
Oh, what did you come up with? Maybe I'll include it.
Well, you rip everything out of the ground, and the ones that grow back are weeds.
No, I don't think that will work too well. Okay.
Dr. Jason Lyle did get into the Mandelbrot set where he's trying where he's trying to say that because a pattern exists within an infinite space for a pattern to be in, where there would in theory be an infinite number of patterns, that God had to create that pattern. That's not the... Apparently, Redeemed Zoomer did not understand that was his argument. Sorry, I know no one cares, but...
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just lost. I don't even know what Mandelbrot refers to, so you'd have to
Fractals.
give me more background information.
The Mandelbrot set, if it's graphically represented, is a very pretty fractal pattern.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fractals can make some interesting artwork, that's for sure. Oh, what was I?
We are wrapping up.
Yeah, no, I was trying to find a tab for something, and I'll have to find it for next time. But not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, I will be on with Azul on the I think he's doing on the Kentucky Atheist channel. And basically would be taking a lot of questions on, any questions people have about transgender people or transgender issues. So we're going to have a discussion on that. That I think that Jenny will be there with me for that. And I'm not sure who else, because at this time we're discussing a couple of people that could be invited, and I'm not sure who has confirmed that they're going to be there.
Oh, and I see next week will be International Whiskey Day.
Yep, that was an easy choice.
I might have to break out some of my whiskey for that day.
Yeah, just make sure it's not domestic.
It's my Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey. I love this stuff. Well, this gotten up to one of my favorites.
Well, my day-to-day stuff is the Windsor Canadian.
Yeah.
So it's a Canadian blend. It's a middle shelf one. Not terribly expensive, but it's a good mixer. It's a little harsh to drink it straight. That's what you need the expensive ones for, if you're sipping them straight.
So near the end of the month, on the 29th, will be the anniversary of when I got Molly for 1 year ago.
Yay! Molly's adoption day.
Yep. So that might be something we can maybe celebrate a little bit on the Wednesday live stream next week.
It's certainly worthy of a toast.
Yep.
Where is my adopted daughter? Maybe
I was wondering that we hadn't seen her.
She might be hiding in my luggage again.
Yeah, Sammy seems to know the word wrap up, and since he thinks I'm about to get up, has to settle into my lap now. Ethan, my new kitty, is learning the routine around here. That if he wants to be a lap cat, it means he also has to be a keyboard support. So he's now gotten used to falling asleep with the keyboard across his back. Okay, so anyway, with that, we of course need to thank all of our channel subscribers, the people who send a bit of money every month to help me keep things going. Vonrek is our longest subscriber. I can't even remember how many years. Greg Hartwood, of course, Southern Sal, the Lavender Lady, Robert X, Kitty the Atheist, and Skits Crasher. Appreciate y'all helping me keep things going here. Okay, and Doorknobhead has a final tip for all of us. The key to drinking whiskey is practice, practice, practice. So with that, we will wish you all a good day. And yeah, actually, for the time it took us to wrap up, Slim is scheduled to start in just a few minutes.
Shall we put a link over to that?
Do you have one handy? I can find one in a minute.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, yeah.
There's a link to some stream before I go raid him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go upstairs and check on the girls. The reason I started a bit late here was that Sloth Girl was needing a bit of help with something, and I kind of did a quick stopgap, but now I got to go do it properly. So we will bid you all a good day, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Later.